Hi, everyone. Welcome to a visual arts community for teachers just like you, elementary art teachers. I'm Sarah Rising, moderator for this elementary visual art community. Today, we're going to continue with part 2 of advocating for your visual arts program. Remember to subscribe to this podcast and participate in our discussion question, which I'll pose at the end of the presentation. Remember, I'll also provide links to this presentation so that you can actively participate in the links that I've included in the presentation. All right, here we go. Back to advocating for art education. Today, we're going to look at connecting with the community. And again, I want to say that we need to remember, while lots of these articles are from experts, they are a point of view from a single person. So keep that in mind as we look at some of these ideas. I hope these will help you as we look at how to connect with community. In this section, I'm going to share some thoughts from an amazing educator, Eric Gibbons. He is a blogger that I follow, and he writes in his post, "Be proactive and advocate for your program. And before you go saying, they should already respect me, I have my degree and certification. Remember that most people have very little idea of what is really happening in your art room." I've provided a link to his website below, and I'm going to go through here and kind of just rehash the ideas that he has, which I think can help. Pick a few or pick them all. Here we go. So Eric advises art educators, it's your program. You need to be the advocate. Here are 10 concrete ways you can elevate the respect of your program. First, he suggests partner up. Partner with a core teacher every quarter or semester and create an innovative cross-curricular lesson and display the results. Many of you are already doing this. And we know lessons like tessellations can connect to geometry, clay glazes, and projects connect to chemistry. There's lots we can do to connect to history, and story illustrations can connect us to literature and English. Open your doors, he suggests. Invite your administration into your room when you're doing a particularly core-centered lesson. He says that he includes handmade invitations at the ready to put in his administrator's mailbox. If you only connect on those scheduled observations, you're probably not doing enough. Now, I also want to say we know our administrators are very busy visiting other classrooms, but don't be afraid to ask them to come in and see some things. Another idea is displaying your art. When you display your art, post how your lessons are connected to the content and the value they offer with deeper connections. Think about including a poster or writing to explain what people are looking at and how it connects to the content area and to your standards. This is how you can educate your peers and administration about how valuable and connected your program is. Have students write about their art and post that alongside their work as well, so that student literacy connections can be seen. On a side note, if you go back a couple of webinars, we also talked about this subject a little more in depth. Don't be afraid to show off. Send out press releases and show off every year or semester. Maybe pick one big project a year that can be seen in the community. This might just be your annual art exhibit, but maybe you can do a social learning lesson and display work in a community center. Sometimes there are school districts that work in vertical teams where the elementary, middle, and high schools work together. So this is also a great way to piggyback and have your whole community working together and then showing that off on all the things that you guys are doing together as it relates to the arts. The next thing he talks about, I titled Sharing is Caring. Educate your peers on the value of art education in fun, aha ways. Look for data, share that data and studies as appropriate. Maybe you could send out a monthly fun fact about art or share a new research with the Board of Education. Studies and information can be found from many sources, and new data is popping up all the time. He suggests setting a Google News alert to let you know when that's coming up. Lots of school districts have central, maybe a art director that you can also utilize to help get the word out about those things. But make sure you're sharing that with your peers so they see what's going on in your program. Breaking news. Don't be afraid to reach out to parents often with newsletters and blog posts to keep them updated on your awesomeness. Share these with the Board of Education members too. In the beginning of the year, we had a webinar on using technology with things like Google Sites and Canva to create posts and newsletters. So maybe you could go back to that and check out that technology training on how to use those things to get your word out and make it go out in a interesting fashion. All right, next, apply for grants and partner with area museums and galleries and businesses whenever possible. Money is tight, and it's usually free to apply for grants, and you might just get the money you need to create the perfect art room. You can also utilize your PTA and look out for those fundraisers, but those take a lot of time. But anything takes time. So again, don't be afraid to go to other sources and advocate for your program, especially for the funding. Remember though, check with your administration and make sure that you get approval before you do things like that. All right, next, he suggests use your voice. How you talk about your art matters. If you use the words fun and creative all the time when describing your classroom, how will the teachers know how connected your explorations are? Speak about the divergent problem solving that happens in your classroom. Brag about how the students really got geometry when they did tessellations. Exclaim how great it was to talk about the Renaissance with your students and how they are making inventions like Da Vinci to launch marshmallows in class or experimenting with paper airplanes. So your voice matters and the language that you use matters. Tie it into the curriculum and use that vocabulary. It's also not a bad idea to get in the habit of sending positive emails home to parents of your students. Eric mentions he highlights their names on his seating chart, and when he does, so that at the end of the semester or year, every child has an email home. There's always something nice you can say, and it's just one email per class per week. So if you're teaching 6 classes a day and sending 6 emails a week, he says it's not that overwhelming. Now, I do want to say that we are all on different schedules and we see kids at lots of different times. So this isn't always the formula of how often we see the kids. And I do understand it might be difficult to get a note out to every student, but there's other ways that you can also send notes to students. You can write a note on a Post-it and hand it to a student, or highlight a student's work in your newsletter. You can feature a student on the board in a hallway. So think about alternative ways that you can shout out great work by your students. So those are all some good ideas. And again, I just want to remind you that that is the thoughts of just one person. And there are lots of other ideas out there. So what I'd like to do with you guys is let's talk about what you're doing to advocate for your art program at school. If you wouldn't mind, share your thoughts in our discussion, and hopefully we can get some good dialogue going and get some ideas about what we can do to make sure the word is out about how amazing our art classes are and why they make a difference in the lives of our kids. See you guys later.